Morality and ethics have been a prominent field of inquiry within the domain of philosophy for centuries, but recently it has been studied by psychologists and neuroscientists. One of the most famous examples of this is a study by the neuroscientist Joshua Green. Green looked at moral dilemmas, arguing that they engage emotional processing within the brain, which in turn influence moral judgment. He found that areas of the brain involved in emotions are significantly more active when considering certain moral dilemmas, but not when considering others.
One of the moral dilemmas Green looked at was the trolley problem. The problem is typically presented with two scenarios, both involving a runaway trolley that is heading down a track towards 5 people. In the first, subjects can push a switch which will divert the trolley to a side track where one person is standing. In the second, they can push a fat man from a bridge, which will stop the trolley but kill the fat man. Subjects are asked in each if they would kill the one person to save the 5. Most of the time, people are willing to flip the switch in the first scenario, but not push the man in the second.
In our study, we looked for correlations that might influence participants' decision to push the fat man in the bridge scenario. We did this by exploiting the commitment bias, the tendency for people to justify and continue to support prior commitments even when evidence does not favor it. We asked participants if they agreed with the statement, moral decisions should be made rationally even if rational choices are in opposition to emotional intuition. We expected that anyone who agreed with the statement has committed to valuing emotional intuition less during moral decision-making, thereby making them more likely to push the fat man in the bridge scenario. We asked participants if they agreed with this statement over email, and then presented them with the trolley problem in a subsequent email. Then we compared which percentage of them were willing to push the fat man in the bridge scenario to the typical answers to see if there was any impact.
We found that there was no statistically significant correlation between those presented the statement and a willingness to push the fat man. However, we did find a notable, but still not statistically significant correlation between those who were presented the statement, whether or not they agreed with it, and a willingness to push the fat man. Given that this was the strongest correlation we found, this may show that there is a correlation between being reminded of the emotional component of moral decision-making and the subsequent decreased influence of emotions in moral decisions. However, since the correlation we found was not statistically significant, more work would need to be done to see if this effect exists.